Hi.
Hello.
So we are going to be reading. Look there. Which story are we going to read today?
The stories of saints.
Stories of the saints. We're going to read.
Stories of the saints.
Today we're going to read about Saint Clare from Stories of the Saints by Carrie Wallace and illustrated by Nick Thornborough. All right. So let's find the table of contents. There's Clare.
126.
126.
It's just this one.
Okay. Here is the picture of Clare.
I won't spoil any of it. Already heard it.
No more of that,
Okay,
please.
sorry.
Clare lived from 1194 to 1253 in Italy, in Assisi. Her emblem is
Lamp and lilies,
and she is the patron of
goldsmiths, laundry, television, good weather.
I wonder whose definition of good weather that is. And her feast day is
August 11th.
August 11th. Everybody expected Clare to marry a count or a king because she was young and beautiful and the daughter of a nobleman. But when Clare was 18, she heard Francis preach during Lent in her hometown of Assisi. "What should I do to follow God?" she asked him. "Put on sackcloth instead of your fine clothes," he told her, "and go beg in the streets of your town." So Clare did. And then she came back to Francis. "I want to make my vows to God," she said. "Dress yourself as a bride," he told her, "and meet us at the chapel of Porziuncula on the night of Palm Sunday." On that night, Clare snuck out of her father's house through the dark streets to the chapel. When she got there, Francis and his people shaved off all her hair. And she traded her fine clothes for a simple robe. Then she vowed to follow God for the rest of her life.
It actually looks sort of pretty.
You think?
Yeah.
Well, what do you think her father thought when he discovered what Clare had done? You think he was happy that she decided to follow God the rest of her life?
Yes, but her dad wasn't happy.
Oh. So you don't think that he was happy? In fact, when he heard this, Clare's father was furious. He traveled many miles up to San Paulo, where she had joined a convent, and tried to drag her home. But Clare clung to the altar and refused to go. So Francis sent her to a convent that was farther off in Sant'Angelo. Clare's sisters joined her there, and so did her mother. At first, Francis led the convent according to his own rules. None of the women there wore shoes, ate meat, or used money. How do you think they got things?
I don't know.
They slept on the ground, spent hours in silence, and worked and prayed. How much screen time do you think they got a day?
0 seconds?
0? Yep, pretty much 0.
Because TVs and stuff like that weren't invented.
And yet she is the patron of television. I find that very interesting. But when Francis put Clare in charge, she added her own rule. Nobody in their order should own anything, and neither should the order itself. To survive, the poor Clares had to beg. Just look. Please stop.
Okay, I'm sorry.
To survive, the poor Clares had to beg, just like Clare did in the streets of her hometown before she took her vows. The Pope didn't like the idea of women begging in the streets. Don't worry about that vow of poverty, he told Clare. Accept some property for your convent. Live off that. I'll grant you forgiveness of the vow. I need to be forgiven for my sins, Clare told him, but not for my vows. Even as she led the monastery, Clare was often sick. One Christmas, when she was too ill to go to church, she saw the nativity appear on the wall of her bedroom and heard the singing of the choir, even though she was too far away from the chapel for the music to reach her ears. At the time, the Pope was at war with King Frederick II of Prussia, whose armies were roving through Italy. And one day, they arrived at the gates of Clare's monastery. Clare was sick that day too, but that didn't stop her from going out to meet them. She took the bread and wine of the sacrament with her and placed them on the wall of her convent in front of the whole army. Oh, you're right, that's what she's doing. Then she knelt and prayed. "O Lord," she said, "protect my sisters, whom I can't protect myself." A voice answered, "I will keep them always in my care." Terrified at the voice, which seemed to come from nowhere, the soldiers of the army leapt up and fled. And although Pope after Pope kept trying to get Clare to accept property for her order, she never did. "They say we are too poor," she said. "But can a heart be poor if it has God?" What do you think? Can a heart be poor if it has God?
I think no and yes at the same time.
No and yes at the same time.